Alright, so basically, you guys are gonna talk about Spider-Man
While you draw
while I draw
and
Spider-Man
provide
characters.
and provide input.
Yes, yes, with the little knowledge I have. So, you said something about Mexican Gwen Stacy. I think we should just jump right in.
Oh no, we're starting. That's the worst place.
That's the worst. Sorry. All right, but you know what? Why not? Cold open. Earth Mex Gwen Stacy. Rob, do you want to provide? You want to start?
No, I think you're the expert.
I don't like when it's worded like that. To be honest.
You're the one who told me about it, so I think it's only fair that you tell the world about it.
All right, so we all know and love Earth 616 Spider-Man. That's right. Earths have a number in Marvel Comics. The mainstream comics, for those that don't know, is 616. We are what's regular Earth in the comics is.
We're in there because they mention it in the new Spider-Man where they're talking about dimensions, the one that Mysterio's from, and he's like, this one is like he named a specific one, and everyone's like, that's not the right one.
He said it's 616, and that's how you know that he's lying because 616.
I think it's 1218.
1218 is ours.
That's what it says. Earth Prime is, which I believe is what we are.
Yeah, that's us.
So which one is Mexican Gwen Stacy from?
So Mexican Gwen Stacy is Earth 616 Stacy until the timeline splits.
It splits.
Yeah. So here's a little bit of backstory about that. In the 60s and 70s, Spider-Man was finally getting publicated outside the U.S. So one of those places he was getting publicized was by the press, or La Prensa in Hispanic publishing. It was a company. It was third party, since Marvel. For those of you who guys don't know, Marvel was actually like a pretty small company in like the 60s and 70s, which is why they struggled with like maintaining their own movie rights into the 90s and 2000s. And Gwen Stacy. So because of this, the most popular comic being sold by La Prensa, and the only thing that was making the money, was Spider-Man. So much so that the dude who ran La Prensa was like, they bought the rights to publish Ant-Man, but they just called it Hombre Araña. They just called it Spider-Man and would throw them in bi-monthly with Spider-Man.
What the heck?
So they acted like the stories were the same, or like they were just a side story, or that like Ant-Man was just another Spider-Man. So they would just be like, yeah, it's like Spider-Man 2, whatever. Here's Spider-Man. So like they're like they just called Ant-Man Spider-Man essentially.
That's illegal.
I guess it is. So here's the problem. They caught wind, or they got the issue where Gwen Stacy dies. Circa the 70s. A lot of the Mexican readers, their favorite character, that's not Spider-Man, was Gwen Stacy. They love Gwen Stacy.
Yeah.
They also didn't, they don't want her to die. So what they did was La Prensa flew to Marvel. He flew to Marvel Comics, New York. He flew out from Mexico and goes, hey, I want to write my own version of Spider-Man. What do I need to do it? Like, how do I do it, like, legally? And at the time, Marvel went, okay, here's an artist who wants to go to Mexico. We're going to send him to your publishing place, and we're going to have him help you make your own Spider-Man. So so after the issue, right before the issue where Gwen Stacy dies, there's a timeline split. So the comics are exactly the same until the death of Gwen Stacy. Peter, instead of her falling off the Brooklyn Bridge, Peter saves her, and it's all a nightmare. She doesn't actually die. And then what's part of the nightmare is that they get married, and then it's like a dream sequence where they get married. There's a bunch of these offshoots, and then they write there from then on for like 70 issues for like almost the rest of the decade. they published their own version of Spider-Man.
Oh, jeez.
Here's some, just so you can, in the Discord, here's some covers of the custom Mexican art. What you'll notice, it's very faithful to the original artwork. So what happens is, though, what they did when Peter starts like dating Mary Jane, they would still sell the new Marvel comics that came out in English, like the American ones. They would still sell those, but not mention the fact that Gwen Stacy's dead in the translation. And then when Peter started dating MJ, like for real, like after she's done dating Harry, they went back and just pretended that Gwen and Peter broke up. And then like she just never appeared on camera or on page ever again.
Oh, jeez.
So for the longest time, Gwen was like still alive and like prevalent, and her butt was bigger.
Hey.
That's the real reason why everyone loves Earth. They call it Earth Mex Gwen Stacy.
You know what? You are right. I currently have it. That's true. It is a lot bigger. I didn't even notice like Spider-Man getting kicked in the background. I was just looking at her butt.
Here's
that guy's bleeding.
Like you gotta.
Oh wait, hold up. Oh, can you not see it?
The top right one. That's the one that like emphasizes the.
Oh my goodness.
But look at the panels though that I just.
Yeah, let me just get those.
What is?
Holy moly, that's some. Like she's dying on one of them, and like we're just like, oh, but those glutes though.
I mean, that's what the artist was doing.
She's such a tragic character.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Isn't that a lot?
Oh my goodness. Is that an elephant? What is that?
Yeah, they go on a safari. Dude, it's a fucking fever dream. So here's the worst part about Earthmex.
Okay.
Yeah. Earth, that's what people call it. People call it Earthmex Spider-Man. So the problem with it is that the original printings are gone.
Oh, what?
The best thing we have.
They're in the Spank Bank.
No, the best thing we have are like these random cutouts and snippets that like people found from like their like grandma's attic or shit, like random shit. Like no one has a full issue of the Mexican Run Spider-Man. Like no one owns one. It just like disappeared. It's the weirdest thing. And the headquarters, like when Laprenza went out of business, so there's no like circulation of anything. Like they don't exist.
That's really weird.
It's really weird. It's a really cool part of like Spider-Man's like unknown early history before they did like all these connected universes and all these old things. It's super interesting that a publishing company took it upon themselves to do fan service.
Yeah, right.
Which is cool. It's cool in a way, right? It's almost like, what if an MCU stan like loved like Iron Man so much they were like, spoiler for Endgame, if anyone's there. It's almost like, what if an MCU stan was like, well, I don't like that Iron Man dies at Endgame, so I'm gonna make my own Endgame, and just like say they own like a movie distributing company in another country.
Didn't they do that though? Aren't they redoing Endgame or something like that? Didn't they redo it?
Wait, did they?
Wait, you mean like the official re-release?
Yeah, I thought they changed the ending.
No, they didn't change the ending. They just released a deleted scene post.
Oh.
They added other content that doesn't change the story.
Yeah, the movie's the same. They only change it only changed context to like the one scene, like when they're eating at the diner.
Where Iron Man, they just bring his dead body to the diner.
No.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah. So it would almost be like, what, I guess to put it in modern terms, it's like someone just goes, yeah, I didn't like that, so I'm going to make my own MCU where Iron Man doesn't die. And it's the same up until this point, but we're going to keep it going until...
we're going to milk this baby until it's dry.
Yeah, well, we're going to make Iron Man 4, and we're going to put Iron Man... Instead of Far From Home being about like the struggle of like, oh, how do I deal with that? How do I deal with like being a hero without Tony's guidance? They're just gonna throw Tony in the movie. Like that's like essentially what they did with Spider-Man in the 70s. is cool. It's cool, and it's also not cool, right? It's like there's a bunch of pros and cons. It's such an interesting take. But then now that we have all these like universe connotations and things like that, you can now like put it together that it's like its own thing. It was never ever canon, I guess.
Okay. I mean, they always have a way of like fixing themselves, kind of. Like,
Yeah, that's
when they make
the
when they make a universe, they're just like, all right, well, here's how we're gonna explain it. And they either destroy the universe, or it's like, oh, well, this universe never existed to begin with, or whatever they do.
Yeah. Speaking of universal discrepancies, this is an interesting one that came out today. It didn't just come out today, but it was brought. Light was brought upon it today in the issue Absolute Carnage, which just came out today.
Oh yeah.
So, have you guys heard of the Ultimate Universe?
Yes.
Very aware.
So the Ultimate line of comics started in the early 2000s, maybe late 90s, and it started with Ultimate Spider-Man issue 1, written by Brian Michael Bendis, who's a pretty talented writer. I'm a big fan of a lot of his work. He wrote New Avengers. He wrote most of Civil War.
Oh, I want to read New Avengers so bad.
If you do read it, I recommend starting at 2004 or 5. It's great. I could show you what website I use to read it. I just read I just caught up on everything. I just caught up. I read like all of the major New Avengers storylines. Very cool comic.
That's exciting.
Yeah. Anyway, so the Ultimate Universe was like, what if the universe was newer and more fresh and more modernized and didn't like start from the 60s? What if we had a universe that actually like starts in the 2000s?
Oh shoot, that's cool.
So that's what the take on the Ultimate Universe was. There is a couple hiccups, I guess, with its reception. Is that a lot of people liked it at first, but then then the storylines got just very quick rehashed versions of things that happened in the main universe. It kind of got to this thing where they were doing everything the same but a little bit different, I guess, if that makes sense.
No, I get it. Yeah.
So it got to the point where they decided to just blow it out of proportion, and this is how Miles Morales gets introduced. And the Maker. So the Maker is a supervillain, but here's the thing: he is not just any supervillain. He is actually Reed Richards.
Wait, what?
He is he is the ultimate version of Mr. Fantastic.
Oh wait, I think I've heard of this.
Supervillain.
Yes.
And Miles Morales is Ultimate Spider-Man. So they kill off Peter, and they make Miles become Spider-Man. But here's the thing: the Doctor Doom creates Battleworld again, and causes this dimensional shift that destroys Miles' universe.
Oh jeez.
The Ultimate Universe gets destroyed by Doctor Doom, and Galactus again somehow. Anyway, the TLDR of this is that only 2 people survive the dimensional jump only 2 major characters survive the dimensional jump.
And that's Spider-Man.
Miles Morales and his family.
Oh.
And evil Reed Richards.
Oh jeez.
So now there's 2 Mr. Fantastics running around, but one is an evil genius and the other one is a good genius, I guess.
Does the Maker have the same powers as Reed Richards, like the stretchy powers? Okay.
Yes, they are, except the Maker wears a really weird looking helmet because his face is all fucked up.
Nice. Oh, kind of like Doom.
Kind of like bit. Dr. Doom. Yeah. I really like what you've got going on screen, Bonner, I will say.
Thanks, man. What? Okay, so how does Spider-Man stick to stuff with
pretty much exactly how they explain it in the Raimi movies. It's those little
barbed hairs.
Wait, they come out through his shoes, or does not wear shoes?
So he wears shoes.
Spider-Man doesn't wear shoes.
Spider-Man does wear shoes.
Yeah,
Okay.
He does. He's got booty. He calls them booties. He wears booties.
He wears booties. I love that.
Yeah.
Rob, what are you gonna say?
Yeah. So it's usually explained about those little barbed fingers that come out and they penetrate his suit because it's kind of thin. But there have been other theories people had earlier on or like he had like a weird field about him that like let him stick with things. That one didn't hold a lot of weight though.
No, yeah, it's basically that he's sticky, but he can like control. He can like retract the hairs, kind of like a cat.
Like I get that,
like the best.
but they're microscopic, so I guess they can poke out through the booties, which makes sense. Because there's some Spider-Man that like there's like soles on the bottom of his uniform. Like I'm pretty sure like the MCU Spider-Man, he has soles on the bottom of the suit. So I'm like, wait a minute. My favorite rendition of it is first the Raimi films and also in Spider-Verse, where Miles was like sticking everything and like just the way they did it was really well done.
Yeah.
And like I like showing him struggling with the power at first, because I mean if I had that power it wouldn't work out for a couple days. Like
it's kind of like I think a similar thing happened when they showed Wolverine in his early life. Like,
yes.
He didn't know how to control his claws, so whenever he got scared, his claws would come out. And he's like, what do I do?
That was so well done. I love those films. I think any kind of like superhero progression film, because not to get into like all of Marvel, but I didn't enjoy Captain Marvel because she just kind of had the powers, you know, or even when she didn't, like she learned them really fast. Like there wasn't any trial or error, and I'm like, okay, whatever. But
yeah, it's the hero's journey is what is more popular in movies.
Yes,
yeah,
I totally agree.
Like, it's literally its own thing. Like the hero's journey is its own like sub-genre of movies.
Yeah. Question. So doesn't Flash get a symbiote into him?
Yes. Flash Thompson, when he returns from Afghanistan, he gets tested on by SHIELD, who has obtained the Venom symbiote because Eddie Brock no longer has it. They steal it and they give it to. This is not the first time. We're finding out now in more recent comics that this isn't the first time they've done this to soldiers.
Yeah.
We are finding out that this is the first time it worked. It was successful. He has a successful bond with Venom, and it's actually introduced. He's an emergency call-in when Spider-Man and the Avengers are fighting Carnage in like some abandoned town in Texas because Carnage like took it over.
Oh jeez. So it's just like his
over
town.
A town with the symbiote. Yeah, he gave everyone the symbiote and like controls them.
Oh
and, like,
shoot!
has them like kill everybody. Yeah.
It's like a hive mind.
And then he takes over most of the Avengers, like Cap, Wolverine, the Thing, Hawkeye, and Spider-Man manages to escape, and him and Agent Venom like take down.
I love Agent Venom.
Yeah, so that's Agent Venom's debut is like the last issue of that Carnage run.
Oh sweet. But they're probably not going to go into that in like the MCU. They legally can't right now.
No, I don't think so. Here's the thing about like, I don't know if we've talked about this before, but in the MCU and the Venomverse, I guess that's like the best thing to call it. Yeah. I don't think legally they can ever really be connected. That's why Sony like makes you think like, oh, maybe one day Tom Holland will be in like Venom 3, but I don't think they really can do that.
No, that like there's too much red tape behind that.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. Although I think it would do the current Spider-Man storyline some good for him to cameo in some some more Spider-Man centric things like Venom. Yeah,
I think that'd be sick. And plus Venom was really good. Like I still can't get over it.
Venom is awesome. To add on to that, I think adding more Spider-Man centric stuff would really like enrich the world that he's a part of.
Yeah.
Take him away from just only Avengers stuff, you know? Spider-Man has such a rich cavalcade of villains and supporting characters that you don't really see, or if you do see them, they're kind of they're just shells.
Yeah, like Big Wheel.
Dude.
and the Hypno Hustler.
Hypno Hustler. Alright, so there's Spider-Man. Who should I draw now? There's so many characters. There's a plethora.
Can you do Doc Ock?
Yeah, I can do Doc Ock.
I'm a big fan of that guy.
Now, is there actually a female Doctor Doc Ock? Because they showed
There
it.
is.
Okay, that's what I
Sure.
thought. Because I thought I'd seen it before.
So she also exists in the 616 universe. There is Lady Octopus.
That's hot.
Yeah, her name is Carolyn Trainer, and she basically just steals a pair of Doc Ock arms and becomes a villain.
Oh wait,
And
she doesn't have like a backstory, or
well, no, so during the Clone Saga, Doc Ock dies. Kane kills him, and Carolyn Trainer is a student of Octavius, so she obtains identical tentacles, like similar, and then she takes up the name Doc Ock. She just like kind of takes up the mantle.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I'm
So now
always a fan.
She's just recently got reintroduced because after the Clone Saga, you kind of like everyone kind of like forgot she exists, but now she's back. She's leading something called the Sinister Syndicate, which is
Not the Sinister Six?
it's a female led Sinister Six.
Oh, sick. Yeah, who else is in that? Because I'm trying to think of like female villains.
Female Beetle, Scorpia, White Rabbit, Trapster, and New Electro.
So it's just
So far.
girl versions of heroes that are already made.
For the most part, but the thing about these villains is that their male counterparts also still exist, and also White Rabbit and Trapster, I believe, are their own.
Yeah, they sound like original.
Yeah, Trapster's new; she's a brand new character. We don't know anything about her, and White Rabbit, quite frankly, she's just kind of a bank robber that is dressed.
So she's like
Alice in Wonderland.
She's like Catwoman, kind of.
Worse Catwoman, and more like flamboyantly dressed and more like colorful, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's that.
She dresses like an Alice in Wonderland type deal.
I like that. That's pretty cool. Is she relatively new or no?
Yes and no. She's kind of been like revitalized through Amazing Spider-Man. Her debut is actually not Spider-Man centric. She is in like a Marvel team up, and then so she's old. Her debut is in like the 80s.
Oh wow.
But she's seen more page time this decade than she's ever seen before.
That's cool. I am glad they're kind of taking villains and heroes and just characters in general from like way back and just kind of throwing them into the mix.
Well, they need to do that because like the old villain roster, it's not stale, but it is at a point where it's like you can't just. It used to be such a common thing like back in the 60s, like to be like, look, Spider-Man's gonna fight like Molten Man, and then he beats him, and then we never see him again for 3 decades. Like,
yeah, there used to be a new hero like every other comic.
Yeah. A new villain, like even the like Doc Ock, Goblin, like Craven, Chameleon. We met them all within like the first like 20 issues of Spider-Man. It's like
I love Craven.
It's
Craven's
insane.
amazing.
Craven, they're just a huge Spider-Man arc with Craven that just ended. Hunted is pretty solid. I think it's a very big testament to where Nick Spencer is going to take the current comic book. It looks great. Hunted is good.
I like what he's.
It does definitely feel like a return to formula, but in a way that's still like modernizing the character, but also like keeping what people like about him. He's keeping Spider-Man grounded, I guess is the best way to put it.
But don't you want to see Spider-Man fly?
Yeah, but like I want it to take some time, I guess.
That's true.
Like he's recently had like a lot of ups and a lot of downs. His life is back to being kind of garbage. He needed a wake-up call, and through Nick Spencer, it's happening, I guess.
Now, which universe, quote unquote, do you follow the most? Both of you.
616, yeah.
Okay.
When I was a teenager, or like when I was really like into the comics, I was actually a bigger fan. I was actually a bigger fan of the Ultimate Universe, really growing up, because I still have issue 1 of Ultimate Spider-Man. It's currently worth basically nothing.
Hey.
It's worth $100. But I had it like when it came out.
Not bad.
Yeah, it's but for a comic book that old, that's not that much, because like I have the debut of Gwen Stacy. I have that comic is worth like $500.
Oh jeez.
Or the debut of Spider Gwen, I should say. That comic's worth $500.
It's probably gonna go up in price too. Because isn't the new Spider-Verse gonna be focused on her?
Yep.
That's
Yeah,
so
it's
sick.
gonna be like a female-led. She'll probably be the main character. Yeah,
That's cool.
female-led Spider-Verse.
I'm so glad they're continuing that franchise. Or not but that like world.
I'm kind of shocked that they are because it was the least grossing Spider-Man film ever.
That's very surprising.
There's a lot of at least according to what I was reading about it on like Twitter, I think it's a stigma against animated films and adults.
I would. That's what I thought.
Every adult that saw it's like, it hurt my eyes, and I'm like,
It's too bright.
it's too bright. I don't know what's going on.
Well, I
Too
think
many
a lot of
colors.
people like my parents would never watch it because they think cartoons are for kids.
Cartoons are for kids. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
some of the most graphic and some of the most like intense, like even sexual or just like serious content has been cartoons. Like,
Right, but it's
yeah, it's not the generation.
Think about like the fan base, like an anime fan base, right? Like something like Cowboy Bebop is like one of the greatest like director visions come to animation in our time, I guess, is just the way to put it. It's great. The show's great. At least I really like it. Anyway, think about that, and then think about like how many people outside of like a younger generation or nerds have really given it a shot.
No one really.
Yeah, exactly. Like if I had my dad watch the pilot episode, like no bullshit. Like I was like, hey, watch this with me, and he was like, he liked it, and I go, would you watch more of it? He goes, nah. I go, why? He goes, well, it's a cartoon. I go, well, but you liked it. He goes,
Oh,
yeah,
man.
like, yeah, but he's like, it's weird. Like,
That's such a bad stigma, man. You're missing out. I mean, my dad, he actually he saw Ghost in the Shell not to get off topic. He saw live action Ghost in the Shell. I'm like, you should watch anime, because my dad like is into the whole art thing because he's watched me grow up, and like he understands like the process of animation. So I'm sure like he definitely appreciates it more, and that's a huge thing. Like after seeing Spider-Verse, and I know someone that worked on it. I think he worked on like the papers that were being thrown around in the office in that one scene, like the bagel scene. And he did that one scene, but he was part of a team of multiple people just doing that one thing. So Spider-Verse, like especially the way they went about it is such a like animator's dream. And like the animated every Spider person was animated at a different frame. Apparently like Miles was animated at 12 frames per second, so he'd have more jittery motion, so it was more static like an anime. And then the one Peter that was alive, spoilers,
Peter B. Parker.
Peter B. Parker, he was animated at I think 60 frames, so he because he was more used to being Spider-Man, you know, he was professional, so he would move more smoothly, and I'm like, that is so cool. Like that is
I didn't know that. That's actually really cool.
Yeah, and it's so subtle, but then you look at it, you're like, oh, I see it now. And that's the thing, people complain the way it looks, like it looks scratchy in like a comic book. It's like that's that's the point. It's supposed to look like a comic book. But yeah, that's my little rant about that. That's more about animation, but
I know, but still, I think that has a lot of merit, and I think, well, yeah, I don't know. I think that has a lot of merit still, and I think that despite its pricing, I'm happy that I think it has to grow. Like that's like a lot of what nerd culture is. Like there's always a stigma against it at first, and then once the movie gets a sequel and the ball rolling, people
look at D&D. Like Dungeons and Dragons is the same thing. Like everyone's like Dungeons and Dragons for nerds, and now everyone's like, oh, Dungeons and Dragons is cool.
Yeah, I think. Well, that's just with most things in general. Like, like playing video games used to be like. I remember like I got like made fun of for playing like Sonic the Hedgehog in middle school. Like.
Yeah, no,
like,
that's very true.
Like Pokemon, right? It's like not. But now, like when I was in high school or in college, it was like, oh wow, new Pokemon! Like I can't wait! Like it's like wow, what the fuck? It's like the most popular thing. Like I think over time, people will just like learn to shut up and just get over it. Like
I hope so. I mean, there's still people that are like, yeah, I'm a gamer. I play Call of Duty on my phone. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, but I totally get what you mean. I totally get it.
Yeah. But like even that, like think about how long it took to get to that point. Because even like when back in like the early Call of Duty days, like if you played Call of Duty, like you were still a nerd.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like we're talking about like people who would like no scope, quick scope people, like back in the day, and like spend their whole day like playing search and destroy and like getting really sweaty. Like that's
Yeah.
that's nerdy. Like that's
Yeah.
like, that's
That's so good.
yeah.
I love that though. I miss that.
Mhm.
I miss when it was still new. Like, not saying like, oh, I miss when it was my own little thing, because it is cool seeing that it's like the community got larger. But like, I don't know. It's almost like when you're too relatable, then everyone thinks that they can relate to you, but they can't. Like, oh, you play video games? Yeah, I play Flappy Bird. It's like, okay. I don't know. But even like with the superheroes, like, I'll be like, oh yeah, like I like superheroes. I like the comics. They're like, oh yeah, I love like the MCU universe, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's definitely a difference, you know.
I think it comes more down to people who like it as like a badge, like recognition. Like, oh, I
Yeah.
like this. I'm, either I'm better than you or you should like me a lot because
It's like
I
it's like
quotes the same thing as you.
Rob, your mic's cutting out a little bit.
No.
Oh no.
um
I totally agree though. They do wear it like it's like this thing, like, oh yeah, I do this. I'm part of this club, kind of.
yeah, it is. The thing is, like, I was talking to my good friend Brendan about this, about like our take on Spider-Man: Far From Home, and like how like we feel about it in general. And it's just like I feel like, well, I feel like we're talking about like having an understanding of what Spider-Man is, and there's like a lot of arguments, but I think like the more you know about the character, the more that becomes a hindrance to the argument.
Yes. Oh, I see what
Because-
you mean.
Because the more you say, oh well, I know about like comic book Peter, but the thing is he's not comic book Peter Parker. He's not Sam Raimi Peter Parker. He's his own thing, his own world. But there are still, but that is, I think
There's
both
rules you
opinions
don't
are-
break.
Both opinions are valid, and I think there are certain things that they could have went more in on, or like missed the mark on, or whatever. But that's like, I don't think that's either like here or there at that point, because like I said, like all I'm basing it off of are previous things that I've seen about the character.
That's true. And
Right.
I never want to be that person like my uncle is really like Spider-Man's his favorite hero. He's really into the comics and he's like one of the OG fans, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like him seeing all the remakes is like, oh, they're changing the story and they're changing this. And like I don't have any issue with someone taking their or having their take on a character cuz I like things that are fresh and new. But when you are taking pinnacle things of Spider-Man and like totally changing him, like, I mean, with the MCU Spider-Man, they're just making him into Iron Man, and that's the thing I have a problem with because I want Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And when he is
I think
Spider-Man,
that's
he's really cool though.
That's a pretty common thing that people say.
Yeah.
But I agree. I agree. I think that like there's a sense that like I think that there's one scene that I don't know if you know the YouTuber High Top Films. He talks about the scene
In the
when
jet?
in the jet.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
His video is very like emotional, very much like I went into the movie knowing I wasn't gonna like it, and guess what? I didn't like it. Like
Yeah.
but he does bring up a good point about that scene in particular, and then because it's like, okay, you had this whole 5-minute speech about how he should just be Spider-Man, and like maybe like take a step back and like do some soul searching or whatever, and then it's like back him.
But no. I'm like, really, homie?
Yeah.
Again, what they should have done there, I think I mentioned this, where they should have had a scene where he was like humming a tune or whatever of his own song, or they didn't even need any music. They didn't need to do that at all. They just didn't need that scene. That's how they could have fixed it.
I think you proposed something that would have been brilliant. Like hanging out a couple days ago when you said like, what if he was like, hey, could we play X song instead?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And he's like, really? And he's like, yeah, I like it. And then they could have played that, showing one that Happy, kind of has that respect for him.
Mhm.
He always respected him, but you know what I mean. And then also it would have been like, okay, it's almost like overshadowing the whole you're not Tony Stark thing, or rather going along with it. It's just they're so close. And I will say I enjoy the movie. I always love Spider-Man movies. Like they're cool. I like Spider-Man. Like his powers are cool. It's never a dull moment watching Spider-Man swing around and throwing stuff and like being quippy and all that. It's fun.
Mhm.
But as soon as you start kind of forgetting who Peter Parker is, that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest issue, because Peter Parker is like probably more important of a character than Spider-Man actually is, which kind of makes sense.
I mean, they're inseparable. They should be one and the same, right?
You'd think.
Like Peter Parker is his own person, and being Spider-Man is part of being Peter Parker.
Yeah. I think I think you guys have a good point. Like it's about I think the problem actually stems a bit more from the villains.
Ooh, that's a good point.
I know. I think I know this thing.
Because if you think about like Spider-Man comics books, previous films, and things like that, like Peter Parker, like the villains are personal to him.
Yes.
Like Norman Osborn is his best friend's dad. The Dr. Kurt Connors is his teacher or his professor that he helps as Spider-Man do research.
And those are old losses. He's lost all those people, basically.
Yeah, and then the way that it affects him trying to stop these villains and the way that it affects his personal life, like Peter Parker's personal life being affected Far From Home, is all a byproduct of things that have already happened, not things that are currently not things that are currently happening, like the things that work out for him, like things end up working out for him, okay, conflict avoided or not. Like when he defeats Multi-Man and the Thing, he still gets to have that like date with MJ and do that thing. I'm not saying that he shouldn't have.
Was that Multi-Man technically?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Right. It's like a holograph projected Multi-Man, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then like the motivations, right? Like I think even in Homecoming, the motivation for the Vulture to do what he did was because of the Avengers movie.
Yes.
And then the reason for Jake Gyllenhaal and Mysterio
was because of Iron Man.
Is because of Iron Man and Endgame. There's no. But that's the thing, though, is that, am I saying that because that's just how it has been for Spider-Man, and then they do finally change it, and then I guess because of my preconceived notion of what a Spider-Man villain should be, maybe that's why I don't like it. But then it's like, I don't think it's necessarily good or bad, I guess is the way to really take it. It's just preference.
No, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't have a good hero without good villains. That's like common, especially with Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, his character development and also like some of the reasons why the villains exist are because of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And again, that is going back to Peter Parker and just like him losing these people. Like he can't. I think one of the best scenes is from one of the first Spider-Man when he's sitting at the table and Willem Dafoe is like walking around with a knife, kind of, and he's like carving the turkey or whatever, and like, and they both like that's when he kind of like realizes, right?
You set up Bike Messenger hit you?
Oh yeah, exactly.
Pointing the knife at his wound.
Yeah.
Like, how'd you get that cut?
How'd you get that?
That scene is so good. Like
Yeah.
those movies are so good. I didn't do the right layer. Like, oh, I miss that. I really do. I miss that feeling of like that intense, like, oh my gosh. I mean, they kind of did that in Homecoming when he got into the car with the dad, or when you found out that Vulture was the girl's dad. I think that was done pretty well. Like, was it MJ's dad? No, it wasn't MJ.
Was Allen's.
Yes. I think that was pretty cool. But again, like it still needs some tuning. It still needs some work.
Well, yeah, I think I would be inclined to agree.
What was the moment where you're like this is going back, that you were like, Spider-Man is like the shit. Like Spider-Man is cool. Like what was that moment of like this?
Like the first ever time
Yeah.
for me. Besides, all right, I'm not gonna say like seeing the movie for the first time, like the first movie, because that was like when it really like settled in for me. Like say like Spider-Man 1.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I left the movie theater thinking that like I used to my favorite superhero up to that point was Batman.
I like Batman.
And then I left the movie. Yeah, I still love Batman, but I left the movie theater and I was like, dude, what the fuck? Spider-Man's the shit. Like,
Yeah.
but I think what really sold it, like when I was reading, was an Ultimate Spider-Man issue. It was early on in the series where he was like finally starting to get like good and like getting past his origin story. Is when he discovers who the Kingpin is.
Oh.
And he's so nervous that like before he fights him, he just can't stop making fat jokes.
Oh no. That's amazing. That's so
the
good.
Kingpin's about to like fucking murder him, so I think he said something about like, what if you were cut if you got accidentally cut open, would marshmallows come out? Like,
Oh no. I love that. That's
yeah,
so
and
good.
then like it's all right before like Daredevil at this point in the Ultimate Universe like doesn't exist, so Kingpin's like a solid Spider-Man villain like he was back in the day. And then yeah, the Kingpin like towers over him. He has like, you're right, you don't know me, you don't. So he finally beats all like the Kingpin's like thugs or whatever, and he goes, yeah, you don't right. I promise if I ever had a moment face to face with you again, so this is the second time they're meeting, there are all kinds of things I wanted to say, and I was afraid I was going to forget to say them. So he wrote them down, and he goes, okay, here goes. You are so fat that when you cut yourself shaving, marshmallow fluff comes out. You're so fat that your high school yearbook photo was taken from a helicopter. How about you're so fat when you get on a scale it says one at a time?
What year did that come out?
Like 2002 or 3.
That's so good.
And he goes, what? Wait. How about this? How about this one? Your belly button makes an echo. If you were a truck, you'd have a wide load sign. When you back up, we can hear a beeping sound. And then the Kingpin proceeds to, beat him up.
Oh no. That's so good. I think, honestly, looking back, I think Spider-Man was one of the first heroes that actually had, like, a personality. Like, Superman was always like, oh, the greater good, and, like, the silent hero. Batman was gritty and silent and serious. Like, Spider-Man's probably one of the first heroes that actually, like, was fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
Like a joke cracker, kind of.
Yeah, and even, like, Robin was a sidekick, but he was never, like, I'm like a smartass. He was more so just like, wow, golly gee. Like Spider-Man was just like a goon.
Yeah, I also think, to your point, that humor didn't really like exist yet.
Well, that's true too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Spider-Man, like
Not
when he
for a
first
lot
came
of people.
out.
I mean, there were some wisecracking going on, but Spider-Man made it a point to like, roast everybody as he's beating their ass.
Why are you so far from your mic?
I'm not. My microphone is just really. I'm gonna hold it the whole time.
Oh no.
That way.
How's the game, by the way?
So I lost to Taskmaster again, and I stopped playing.
Oh no.
I beat all his challenges, and then he beat me up, and it's like, man, do my challenges and get better. I'm like, no, Taskmaster, I'm gonna stop playing.
Word. I kind of want to get the game. Is it
It's
worth?
fun.
It's worth it.
Very fun. I highly recommend.
It's great. I love the game. I think that's one of the best. That's the thing. That's another thing. Going back to like talking about Far From Home and talking about like representations of Spider-Man. Like Spider-Man PS4 is like a very like true to form things that happened to Peter Parker the game.
It It boils down a lot of the essence of the character and puts it into new situations. They're really, really entertaining. Yeah.
But holy crap, like, feeling like Spider-Man, like, that was the best. Like, that was so sick. I'm making Green Goblin, by the way.
I see. I like his weird, like,
He has
chicken. That's a fried chicken body right
he has a goblin body.
I love
he
the
looks
boots.
like a turkey dinner.
I love the
Perfect.
boots on Doc Ock. Like
No.
the boots that his claws are in. He's in like little a goulash and a cowboy boot.
I like his little sock.
I can draw hands. I was struggling.
I don't know, that one hand.
The other hand's fine. Yeah.
It's his wife. Didn't he lose his wife? Isn't that why he's doing it? Something like that?
No.
I forgot. Which one's the one that lost her wife?
I don't know any Spider-Man villains that lost their wife, and that's their motivation.
I mean, they made Kingpin lose his wife in the new movie, but I don't know if that was the OG story. I actually
kind of messed up.
I don't know. I don't know.
His son overthrows him.
Like, who's his son?
Richard?
Okay.
Richard Fisk?
Richard
Yeah, I
Fisk.
think so.
Oh,
He
Fisk.
poses as an opposing
It is
crime
Richard.
boss called the Rose, and he just like takes down the Kingpin's organization.
Okay.
And, like, takes it for
Yes.
himself. It's kind of cool, actually.
In the Superior Spider-Man run, when Doc Ock takes over Peterman's brain, and Peterman and Miles Man.
Miles, man. It'd make it a lot easier to catch up.
Yeah, Peterman of Earth 616, and Miles Man also of Earth 616.
Oh no.
So Doc Ock takes over Peterman's brain and becomes Spider-Man, and when he does that, he takes over Shadowland, where the Kingpin lives, and fucking murders him. Just shoots him.
What?
But get this. He doesn't shoot him. He has like his guards that he
Oh,
hired.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, like to make it look so Kingpin escapes, but guess how? He had been nursing a clone lookalike of him that had been sitting in a bunker watching TV and like playing video games and eating forever. And he goes, "Hey, like I forget his name, but he goes like, "Hey, had a pretty nice life, haven't you?" He goes, "Yeah, thanks, boss. I can't believe you're doing this all for me." He's like, "Well, now it's time to pay up." And then he snaps his neck and leaves him at the scene, so everyone thinks that the Kingpin is dead. Meanwhile, he's like running the Magia from like underground.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kingpin's a
wild.
savage. What the hell?
Yeah.
This man just made a clone just so he had a scapegoat. Excuse me?
Yeah.
That was his out.
Have you seen Daredevil?
Oh, the show?
Yeah.
Parts of it. I kind of like the guy that plays Kingpin in that. He seems cool.
I like him a lot.
Cause he's not like this massive. I mean, he's a big dude. Like I would not mess with him. But it's like a realer take on the character.
Yeah. I love when he's on his date with Vanessa for like the first time, and then like the fucking Russian walks in with the gun, and he's like, "Boss, I need to talk to you." And Vanessa doesn't know he's like a fucking crime boss.
Oh man, that's so funny.
Boy. I got a question. I guess an open question for everyone. Who's your top 3 Spidey villains?
Ooh. Okay, Matt, you go first.
Goblin, Doc Ock. Third one probably Craven.
Okay. I will say Craven's not my first favorite. I actually like Sandman a lot. I don't know why I like Sandman.
Craven's a good pick, dude. If you are thinking Craven.
No, he's on the list. He's not my
storylines.
He's
He has a couple storylines, but
who's Craven?
Yeah. He was Spider-Man for like a couple weeks.
Craven was Spider-Man for wait, what?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. He, in order to hunt Spider-Man, he becomes Spider-Man. He dresses up like Spider-Man and fights crime.
He just has a good old time.
To understand what it's like to be Spider-Man, and then he wears like a cloth version of the black suit and then uses it to kill Spider-Man, and then he's so obsessed with the fact that he's finally accomplished it, he stays Spider-Man.
Wait, this happened. Wait, so
it happened in like the 80s.
two villains became Spider-Man?
Yeah, but Craven became Spider-Man for way less time. We're talking like within the over the course of like a couple months, like it was over.
Yeah, it was a short run, but like he did it to prove his superiority. Like not only has he beat Spider-Man, but he's a better Spider-Man kind of thing.
Yeah, because he was willing to shoot people and kill them and do whatever.
Yeah, he was all kind of messed up in the head.
Sandman, something about Sandman. I like Sandman. I think he might be my number 1, but that's like really dumb.
No, it's
Oh,
not
dude, Sandman's cool.
Sandman's cool.
Craven's my second, and then I like Lizard too.
Lizard's cool. Lizard has such a
I like his story.
He has such a crazy story, and I feel because you feel so bad for him.
Yes, exactly.
And then because at least in the comics, like it's not his fault that he does. It's like the animal, the lizard instinct takes over.
Yeah, exactly.
He becomes a feral hog, if you will.
I like the pterodactyl that turns people into dinosaurs instead of curing cancer. That one. I don't even know what that. I don't know.
That's an X-Men villain.
Oh no! Oh no! Wait, is it really? Wait, wasn't he in Spider-Man?
No,
Yeah.
Spider-Man. The X-Men have Spider-Man help them. That's why Spider-Man's in that panel where he says that.
Oh, it's amazing.
But it's an X-Men crossover book from a couple years ago.
Oh, it's sick. I like it. But yeah, that's probably my 3. I do like Green Goblin. He's fun. He's kind of a cop out, but I like him. For me, at least. Like,
Dude, he's definitely not a cop.
He's
Green
so
Goblin has
cool.
had such an impact in Spider-Man's life that like.
that's true. I like Hobgoblin actually. I don't know why.
Hobgoblin's cool.
He's never done right though. I'm waiting for them to do him justice. Like, every Hobgoblin we've had has been kind of weak. I think maybe James Franco did a good job.
He was the new Goblin. That's different.
Oh, you're right. That's not even Hob.
Man,
You're right.
Like,
The one they did in Amazing Spider-Man was weird. I did not like that.
oh, the ASM2 one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was awkward.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to talk about this movie too long, but like that movie had so many problems.
Yes.
You know the movie was bad when the first 20 minutes of the movie are the best part.
Yeah.
The best part of the movie is when he's like,
Soundtrack.
flying around. That and when he's like flying, he's like he's just fighting crime and trying to stop that trucker dude who steals the Oscorp like goo.
You mean the Paul Giamatti?
Paul Giamatti, who eventually
Oh my
later
god,
became
he
the Rhino.
was in that movie.
The Rhino.
He was
The
the.
Rhino.
I actually liked the way they did the Rhino though. I think that was cool. It
Well,
was,
with the mech suit.
yeah, I think that was cool.
definitely a neat idea, but you know, like
He's gold
he's in the
teeth,
movie for all of what 10 minutes, not even.
unfortunately, and it's Paul Giamatti. Like, Paul Giamatti cannot be anyone except Paul Giamatti for me. Like, he's not a
Can't
bad
be
actor.
anyone but the guy from Big Fat Liar. For me.
Yeah, for me, he's
That's
Luke.
'cause, like,
Oh no.
who he is. He's
You're
just this sleazy movie exec. No.
Oh man, that's so funny. I'm
I
telling
love
Paul.
Paul Giamatti. He's so talented.
He really is. I liked him in Cinderella Man a lot. There's one villain. Or not, she's not a villain. It's the cat one, the white cat.
Black Cat.
Black
Cat?
Yeah, the opposite. She hasn't been in any movies, has she?
No.
I want that.
She was gonna
so
be
bad.
in Spider-Man 4, and speculated to be in Amazing Spider-Man 3.
They deprived me of seeing a sexy cat lady. That's upsetting.
Potentially, we don't know what that movie was gonna be.
She's cool.
She's cool. She's more like Catwoman.
She has
She's a carbon copy of Catwoman.
Did you know she has a superpower?
Is it being a thought?
It makes people around her unlucky for like the moments that they're around her. It's weird.
Huh. That actually makes a lot of sense why she,
Yeah.
that's why he never catches her, huh?
Kind of.
That's why like nobody catches her,
Yeah.
That's cool.
except for when they do.
I remember as a kid, that was like one of my first like, wow, women are cool moments. Because there's a scene where like she like trips Spider-Man, like steps on his chest. I'm like, whoa. But, I'm like, what?
Whoa,
Whoa. So that's my Green Goblin. He'll be chilling up here.
dude, I like him. I like him a lot.
Are there any predictions for? Oh well, I guess they're not gonna do another Spider-Man movie for a while.
Another what?
Another Spider-Man. Another like.
They got to do another one.
Well, they're gonna do another one, but not for a while. Like.
I think I have a fan theory and what I really think is gonna happen.
Go on.
I think that my fan theory is that Spider-Man's going to need a damn good lawyer to prove that he didn't kill Mysterio.
Ooh.
So it'll be a Daredevil crossover.
Oh, that's gonna be so sick.
Or he'll need a damn good reporter to help clear his name, and it could be like a cool Venom crossover, or maybe both, or neither. But what I think, that's my fan theory. That's
just a fan theory.
What I think is going to happen is neither of those, and it's just going to be like I don't even know. I feel like it'll just be like nothing I expect. This is one thing that is cool about the Far From Home and Homecoming movies. It's never what I expect to happen. It's always something different.
Yes, and that can be a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah,
Do you
Because
think they're gonna pull stuff from like Civil War story Spider-Man?
ooh, like the comic, like
he's
Like-
too young.
No, but you know what I mean. Like kind of similar situations to that.
Oh, they
like
go
after
Aunt
after
May.
his big reveal when people are like,
Yeah.
"It's Spider-Man! Oh my god!"
Well,
spam.
the only enemy he's made that would like really do that is like the Scorpion dude from Homecoming, and like I don't want him to be a big villain again. He was lame.
People, I watched the Matt Pat theory, and he thinks that the Sinister Six are going to be the villains for the next Spider-Man movie.
So, here's the thing about Matt. I don't like Matt Pat. Anyway,
Here's the thing about Matt Pat. So
Think about Matt Pat. No,
I think all of his theories now are like they hold on to like these very like loose like threads of things where they used to be like way more cohesive, or like they would do math or like something like all the like I remember watching like a theory about like Zelda, and he was like, well, this hat is in the game, therefore it must be the child, it must be the hero is defeated timeline. And ever since then I'm like, I would watch his videos to catch up on it, and I'm just like, no, he's an idiot. He doesn't understand. So why does he think the Sinister Six will be in the next one?
I don't know his reasoning as to why they would use the Sinister Six, but he just pointed out that there's enough villains that they could do the Sinister Six.
are there enough villains? I don't
No,
think.
So
there aren't though. No.
you have
Not
Vulture,
really. He's not.
Here's
Yeah, but he's on his good
Vulture,
side though.
Vulture, Mysterio, Scorpion.
Vulture, Mysterio, Scorpion, new Shocker. That guy's still around.
New Shock. Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Shocker. You could do Mysterio. Oh wait, did we say Mysterio?
Yeah, but Mysterio's dead. I thought.
That guy who stole the memory
guy who
drive
stole the
and
stuff.
upgraded.
Oh,
and,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
Because
a David
Mysterio
Evil.
is just the projection. Like Quentin
Yeah.
Beck
That's true.
is Mysterio, but he also.
Yeah.
Dude, I love this JoJo's pose you're doing for Mysterio.
They're gonna do Paul Giamatti.
Now, who is the other guy? There's shown.
I don't think they're. Oh wait, it was like one of the side things where like only real comic book people know.
Hold on. I'm gonna check this out. Let's talk about something similar or different. Or it doesn't matter, and I'll just look this up.
Villains or Sinister Six or like, they have to do a Sinister Six movie. Like,
Well, just real quick, I do want to think about like villains that they might have shown already, because the thing. All right, let's say even if they have shown those villains before, right? Like, so we're counting Scorpion, Shocker. The thing is, MCU's
Chameleon. That's what it was.
Chameleon, has he been in?
he's
It-
been
well,
in it?
So it's like little hints because the dude that picks them up and drives them on the bus is named Dimitri. And you're just like the way he worked it into the MCU is that he's like a rogue Skrull. The Skrulls can shapeshift.
Oh, that's
Okay.
sick.
So here's my 2 cents on that. It sucks and I don't like it.
I see what you.
Oh,
I see what
and
you-
or Donald Glover because he was the Prowler.
Oh
he's
wait,
the
I
Prowler.
love that. Yeah.
So
Yeah. And he in that movie, his role in that movie, it proves that Miles exists.
Yes, and I really hope we get live action Miles.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
He came up with some like bogus ones, just to be like, yeah, they could be in there.
What's
One
Matt
was the Jackal,
What?
because
Isn't that the guy that jumps really high?
that's the
He's
dude
a
who
scientist.
starts the Clone Saga.
He
Oh.
clones Gwen Stacy and Peter Parker.
Wowie zowie.
Hmm.
Yeah, because Peter's science teacher in high school is named Mrs. Warren,
That's where he got it from.
as opposed to the whatever the dude's name is in the comics. It's something Warren.
Miles Warren.
Miles Warren.
Yeah.
I
So
guess.
that, and then he said Silvermane, and I'm like,
Silverman? Who's Silverman again?
nobody knows who Silvermane is.
I don't really remember who he is.
He's this old dude who drinks from the fountain of youth to stay alive, and he's like a mafioso.
Oh,
and then he
wait, I
gets a
actually know who
robot
that
body
is.
eventually.
Why do I actually know who that is? That's really weird.
Yeah.
Was he? I think he was in one of the old cartoons. Now that I
But
think
He's
about
on
it.
he's in the
His
Fox
big
cartoon.
reveal,
He is, yes.
big reveal he put in the video was that he thinks it's gonna be Flash Thompson.
Oh.
Well, the thing is, at the end of Far From Home, Flash Thompson does have the making of a villain backstory going on right now. He's
Yes.
a neglected rich
Parents.
kid. Yeah.
And the big reveal was that he thinks that it's that he was adopted by the Osborns, and that Green Goblin's gonna be dead, and Norman's gonna fund the Sinister Six.
The one thing that I think blows the whole theory into proportion is he's equating the MCU version of Scorpion and Shocker to be Sinister Six level villains, and I just personally don't agree.
No. No, you need Big Wheel. You need. I'm trying to think. The OG Sinister Six. It's Doc Ock, Green Goblin, Rhino, Vulture. I can't count.
It's Doc Ock, Mysterio.
It is
Electro,
Mysterio. Okay, yeah.
Craven, Vulture, and Sandman.
Wait, what? Really?
Yeah.
Green
What?
Goblin didn't join till later.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Green Goblin joined as a matter of circumstance because he always wanted to beat Spider-Man on his own.
Okay, so he's kind of like his Joker, because Joker kind of did the same thing.
Yeah, kinda.
Kind of. Well, that's
Oh, real quick, since we've passed the hour mark, I definitely wanted to make sure that we talk about this because it's like the hot thing happening in the comics right now.
Oh, the Carnage?
Absolute Carnage. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just started today. I don't know where you guys would put Carnage among your villain ranking.
Oh, wait, what am I talking about? Venom's my favorite. Venom is literally my favorite.
Yeah, Venom's dope. Yeah. So Venom is Eddie Brock and Venom are like the stars of this event, kind of.
That's so sick.
The event's centered around them, but so Carnage has a pretty deep-rooted history in Marvel. Carnage is so two things about Carnage and Norman Osborn is that they're no longer just ever since like the mid 2000s, they're no longer Spider-Man villains.
I love that because they're so good.
They are Avenger level threats. like in Norman Osborn, it took an entire like army and the Avengers to stop him when he gained control of Shield and Hammer.
Excuse me.
Cletus Kasady takes over an entire town, and not even all the main cast of the Avengers can stop him. It takes Spider-Man and Venom and Scorn to stop him.
I thought you were gonna say Spider-Man and Elsa to stop him. I'm upset with myself.
Yes, so Spider-Man and Elsa defeat Carnage. So the synopsis of Absolute Carnage is that Carnage is dead. He died after an atmospheric re-entry from space.
Oh.
This is a couple years ago, like in comic book time, circa like 2013, 14. After a fight with Superior Spider-Man, Carnage dies, or another fight after that. Even after that, I think. Anyway, so symbiotes are actually created by a dude.
Oh, the god of the symbiote or whatever.
The Null. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Null is awakening, and he's controlling the corpse of Cletus Kasady and the Carnage symbiote to complete something called the Codex, which is a bunch of main symbiotes that make up Null's dragon.
What?
I guess. Yeah, Null,
What?
the god of symbiotes, has a dragon named Grendel, who's the same Grendel that like
Oh
Beowulf fought, or
yeah.
not? Yeah. So
And didn't Thor actually beat him up? And then
Thor actually beat him, and Beowulf took the credit. Yeah.
I love that.
It's so funny. Yeah. So Eddie Brock and his son are on the run from these Carnage symbiotes that are trying to like take over and rebuild the Codex, but he needs help. So whose door does he knock on in Manhattan after he travels all the way there? Guess where he goes?
Paul
Stark
Giamatti.
Tower.
What?
No, I'm just kidding.
No, he goes to Peter Parker's apartment.
Oh wow.
Because so it turns out that just as a quick synopsis of the first issue, I'll wrap this up in like a minute. It turns out that anyone who's ever worn a symbiote is now part of the Codex. They need to die.
Oh no.
Carnage has been killing anyone who's ever worn it, even digging up people's graves of people that have worn the symbiote, and removing the Codex from their spine.
That's just rude.
Yeah, so he's trying to complete the Codex. Then which he has done a good job of so far because no one has known this is going on. Which is always convenient for Spider-Man villains. They always manage a way to like slip under like everyone's radar.
Yeah, for real.
Anyway, so symbiote shit ensues. Eddie needs help. He tells Peter Parker about the thing that's going on with the Codex, and he goes, anyone who's ever worn a symbiote is in danger. But guess what that means?
It means
Norman Osborn's also in danger.
oh shoot.
Norman's worn a symbiote, so Peter and Eddie have to go to the Ravencroft mental institution, the same place where they held Cletus Kasady before he became Carnage.
Whoa.
And Peter Parker has to save Norman Osborn from Carnage. And that's like, yeah, and that's like what's going on right now. It's pretty fucking
That's
crazy.
freaking wild.
Wow.
The artwork is amazing. Most of it's in like sepia, which is dope in its own right. I love it. I could pull up a panel if you wanna look at it, like my favorite page from this week's issue.
Do it.
It's a big event. It's the second to last event of the year. It's gonna be so far, I really like it. There's been a lot of build up to this one, which I think usually I don't like when there's too much build up, but this has like really helped flesh out the size of this event, and it's great. There's gonna be a director's cut. It looks like, with like a bunch of extra content. I'm just gonna real quick skip to it. I just found the scans.
Oh, I didn't see all the things that were posted here.
Oh, yeah. I just keep putting new Spider-Man memes in the chat.
I want to put this up real quick.
Of absolute carnage.
That's cool. Let me see.
The context of this is Spider-Man and Eddie Brock are sitting at like a diner while Eddie explains what's been going on because Peter doesn't really know. And then a mugger walks into the diner.
Oh, jeez.
He walks into a diner where Eddie Brock and Peter Parker are having dinner. And the robber just goes, "Oh shit."
That's really unfortunate.
That's very funny.
Oh, that suit's sick. Like the black and red.
Yeah, black and red is like a very ode. It's an ode to like the '90s, like when the symbiotes were like way more involved.
I love black suit Spider-Man.
Like black and red, or like symbiote suit.
Like symbiote suit.
I don't know if it's gonna come back in this run or not. It's looking like someone's gonna have to, because Peter hates wearing the symbiote.
Wait, that means Peter has to die too.
Yeah, well,
Yep,
Carnage
Peter has
after.
worn a symbiote.
Peter and Ben Reilly has worn a symbiote.
And Gwen.
Yeah, Spider-Gwen has worn a symbiote too. Yeah. But
Everyone's...
she wears a symbiote from a different dimension.
Oh, so
so
it's different.
So I don't know if it counts.
Oh, here's an important question I want to ask. Not to get away from absolute carnage, but
I don't want to spoil more of it because it's great. So I'm kind of cool with not talking about it anymore.
So with what is the spider sense? Because I feel like that is like a huge thing that they don't really explain, or they do really well at explaining, depending on what you're like watching or reading.
Is that Uncle Ben?
Yeah.
Why?
Rob, do you want to give your interpretation first, and then I'll kind of jump in, or?
Yeah. So the spider sense, a product of heightened awareness within him that acts as a sixth sense for danger, so that whenever there is a threat to him or, something off-putting, it warns his brain. And most times he'll use it as a means to avoid immediate threats, but it can also extend a little bit further and is not always super clear as to what the danger is, but it usually is what keeps him out of harm's way. What it is exactly, I don't know.
Because sometimes they take it to like, oh, actually, Matt, you go first, or you go.
No, I'd love to hear what your input.
I was gonna say like
First.
sometimes they make it where it's like this supernatural thing that leads to like
Yeah.
like multiple Spider-Mans have had it. Like it's a thing that's like passed down, almost like in like a like what was it was a cartoon where they had the Spider Queen that like she like explained
I forgot.
or like
There's,
Madam Web. That's in the
Madam
manga.
Web, yeah,
Yeah.
and she kind of like talks about the spider sense and all that.
There's also the thing I forgot regarding the spider sense is that people who have worn the symbiote don't set off the spider sense. Like Venom and Carnage don't send off his spider sense.
Oh
So
shoot,
that's kind of weird.
It's
That's
no.
good.
Well, the reason Venom and Carnage specifically don't is because Peter's warned them.
That's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
people who have worn the symbiote, like the one that Peter wore and stuff, like the original one.
they don't set off, and even afterward they don't.
No, yeah. There's been comics where like Spider-Man's like, "Whoa, Venom, how long have you been following me?" He's been like hours.
Whoa.
I remember.
What
that. Yeah.
He's just been like, "Yeah, I've been following you for a very long time."
There's one like Marvel Legends book, which is like those things that you would see at like a book sale. I have this one. It's so funny. Where Eddie Brock's like trying to be a good guy. He's trying to like learn, and he shadows Spider-Man, but he literally shadows him. Like he just he like hides all the time, so Peter doesn't sense him and like watches him.
I
Like,
love
be a
that.
hero. Yeah. So what the spider sense is in a way kind of like a Deus Ex Machina, like a MacGuffin. And back in the '60s, for sure, it was definitely just like, why did that hit him? Well, his spider sense.
Yeah.
And I think all the movies do a pretty poor job of explaining what it is. Because it's so well, I wouldn't say poor, because it's so like, oh, he uses it to dodge things. But the thing is, the reason it's never super explained is because not even Peter really understands what it is still.
Huh.
Peter, like, there's one just to give an understanding, Rob got it pretty square on the head, where it's a danger radar and sensor, right? So danger alerts him, and it will kind of make his muscles move to do the right thing to avoid said danger, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it also kind of adapts to him because Peter, he kind of manipulates it to protect others. So like if another person's in danger, he'll throw his body into the fray. So it's kind of like the opposite of how like a regular spider would use it. Like if you're about to swat a spider, spider jumps out of the way. If you're about to swat the spider's friend, the spider's not gonna grab the friend and jump out of the way, right?
Yeah.
The spider would just move, but Spider-Man's like the opposite of that. Spider-Man would throw himself into the way of the SWAT and try to get both things out of danger, I guess, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
That adapts over time. That's not how it always worked. That also, it warns him in any kind of way you would think that your brain can warn you. So there's one issue of in the Secret War, where Nick Fury and the Avengers and some of the Avengers raid Latveria and overthrow their government. Nick Fury brainwashes them to make them all forget that it happened.
What the heck?
But Peter Parker remembers. But he remembers it as a dream because his spider sense was warning that someone from Latveria was going to get revenge for what happened, and they were in New York.
Oh shoot.
But his spider sense was warning him through a dream sequence.
So
That, like,
there
it
is
was
some
gonna
kind of
happen.
supernatural powerness
Yeah.
to it. Okay.
I'm reading more of the wiki. This is from the '90s cartoon. I'm reading what they put for it. Apparently, he can ignore it,
Yeah.
but it also won't go off for things that he doesn't believe for people he doesn't believe are a threat.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
what
it
says.
is. It is a
So,
threat
like,
warning. So
Aunt
like,
May or MJ.
yeah,
It wouldn't go off for them. But here it's saying that could fool him because the chameleon disguised himself as someone else. Peter didn't realize it because he didn't think they were
He's a
threat.
fool.
yeah. It says Iron Man uses the same trick to fight him during the Civil War. Iron Man caught. It's a sense, right? So you can manipulate like a sense like vision, and that will throw Spider Sense off its game. So like, if Spider Man is disoriented, his Spider Sense won't work correctly.
Huh.
Just
Which
like just like an explosion will destroy your hearing.
Yeah. So Iron Man does this to beat him. He has like something in his like repulsors to give off like a weird like disorienting frequency, and he uses that to like he gets behind Spider-Man and physically hits him
Oh,
with,
jeez.
with this technique.
What?
I'm sorry.
Oh my goodness.
Another thing that Spider Sense is, outside of like the sense of just what it literally does, it's a secret. No one's supposed to know that Spider-Man. No, the only person that Peter has told he has a Spider Sense is some of the Avengers, Aunt May and Mary Jane.
How does he even explain it though? Does he just like?
He just says, "I have like a sixth sense." It's like it's
Yeah,
hard.
he says like
Oh,
I have a
okay.
sense for danger, like a literal sense for danger.
Yeah, yeah.
And would you say that's like his most powerful attribute of being Spider-Man? Like that's what it means to be Spider-Man. Because I think even in
No.
Spider-Verse, when they had like the tingles and stuff like that, when they knew each other, you know what I mean? Like they knew that he was a spider person, and I'm like, oh, that's the spider sense. You know what I mean?
I think that is just that movie's adaptation of what it is, because yeah, I think that's just how that movie interprets it. I think you can interpret it in a lot of ways. I don't think there's a moment like that in the books where he just goes, "Oh, you must be a spider person because of the spider sense." A lot of them happen to dress like Spider-Man. I think that's just kind of how it works.
Yeah, why is that?
The explanation for it's bad, but I know it if you want to hear it.
Wait, really? Like why they all dress the same?
They dress similar, and they dress like a spider. Yeah.
They all shop at the same store.
Every universe must have every universe is supposed to have a Spider-Man.
Really?
Yeah, they're called from Madam Web calls them the Spider Totem. So like Doctor Strange envisions the universe as like a bunch of different things, as like a bunch of different like interconnected dimensions. Madam Web sees them as a great web. And if a Spider-Man dies in a universe, that universe is severed from the Great Web. The universe isn't destroyed, but that universe gets severed. So the Spider-Man don't have that like tie with another. So they are all connected with something called the Great Web. A lot of people don't like this explanation because it diminishes from why Peter Parker chooses to be Spider-Man. It makes it sound more like destiny than a decision.
Yeah, I agree. Where they're making it where it's part of this bigger thing where it's almost like he has to do it now.
Yes,
and exactly. I like the idea of where he's like, no, I want to, because there's some time like, how many times has Spider-Man stopped being Spider-Man in his own dimension?
In 616, probably like 3 or 4 times, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like even it sucks because even when he stops being Spider-Man, he still is like dealing with Peter Parker, and that's why I think going back a little bit, being Peter Parker is probably hard enough, like without being Spider-Man. Like he's such a sad character. I mean, here's one thing with his parents. Like they try to make stories for his parents where they're like agents or something like that. Is that like in a comic somewhere?
His parents are CIA agents.
Okay, that's kind of canon.
That is canon, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
And he has a sister.
What? She a spider person?
No.
Okay.
Her parents, when they were on a mission, conceived another child, and she was adopted, and she's Peter Parker's biological sister.
Oh, that's cool.
And you meet her in. She's a new character. She's introduced like a couple years ago, but it's canon. It was in Spectacular Spider-Man, which is 616 canon, and she's real, and she's kind of cool.
What'd she do?
I'm reading up. I forgot about her.
She's not in the. Her name is Teresa. Teresa Parker. She wears the Falcon's wings and has guns because she's a shield agent.
Oh, sick. Okay.
Yeah. So she has no powers, but she's kind of like a detective, CIA shield person. Yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah.
That's always fun. Okay. Well, there's that. I think we should ease out and slowly finish up. What's a big question that can have a simple answer?
I love the Willem Dafoe's face on the fuck.
These are all fantastic drawings, Mike.
Yeah, I love them all.
I guess you can call them amazing, or ultimate, or spectacular.
Later. They're uncanny.
What do you think? What do you want the next big thing for Spider-Man to be? That can be my question. I know it's kind of vague, but like do you want them to kill him off canonically, or do you want them to like? Because he's been killed off.
We're talking about a storyline kind of thing, or are we talking like just something with Spider-Man happening?
Something with Spider-Man happening.
I want a dope cartoon show again. I want a dope TV show. Of
Yeah,
Spider-Man.
the new cartoon show's lame.
Oh, is it? It looked.
Yeah,
I want
it's whack.
I want something
That's so
like
unfortunate.
Batman Beyond-esque. I want a Spider-Man
Oh,
2090.
Spider-Man 2090.
That is just that is just Batman Beyond, but like with Spider-Man, and it's sick.
I want to see the one thing I've always wanted to see is Ben Reilly to be in a movie. I want Scarlet Spider.
That is rough.
Oh,
It's rough because it's not. It'll never happen. The writers of it even admitted that the story's so convoluted, but I think you could do it. You could do it right.
You could do it. It's possible, and I'm sure if you get enough talented writers and like people who really want to make that work, it'll work.
I guess I don't know. I definitely want a Spider-Man crossover. I think that's I think that's one
That'd be
thing I
sick.
probably want the most. I like Peter Parker's my favorite Spider-Man, like 616 Peter. The idea of the Spider-Verse of all the live-action Spider-Man getting thrown around would be pretty cool.
oh yeah.
I think if they do that though, they should throw in some more actors. Why does it have to be just those three? Have a Miles jump into the fray, like because that opens so much opportunity. Like have like a Mayday Parker, because like Into the Spider-Verse the movie, you don't meet any of those characters before. They just kind of show up at Aunt May's basement. Like
Yeah, exactly.
you could do that again. Like you have those three be the main focus and then introduce more. I think that's. Hell, have Cartoon Miles be on the screen. It's 2020. Like, have them all.
That would be huge.
Yeah,
That would
like
be wild.
That'd be so sick.
yeah. It's a
Ooh.
different dimension, therefore they are in a different medium. Like, why not? Like,
That'd be so fresh.
Dude, I'm loving the black suit Spider-Man.
He's one of my favorites, to be honest.
I mean the one you're drawing right now.
Oh yeah.
He is really doing it for me.
I like him. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for just taking the time to do this. This
no
is
problem.
perfect.
This was fun.
yeah, I had a lot of fun.
Thanks,
yeah.
man.
I was actually kind of flattered that you asked me to be on to be like the Spider-Man.
Oh, of course. I definitely want you guys on for like future ones too. I definitely have you guys in mind for a lot of them. And that'll be
Yeah,
it.
man. No, this was fun. I definitely I kind of want to watch this and see other people's like takes on everything.
Oh, that's so good to hear. That's
Yeah.
really exciting. And like,
Plus, these goofy ass like drawings are so good. They're so good.
I gotta say, I think the Uncle Ben one is my favorite. Next to them, I like the Mysterio a lot.
Dude, Mysterio's doing
Dude,
JoJo's
Mysterio's good.
poses while being mad at RDJ. Like,
I might make
That's
stickers
fun.
out of these. If people want
Ooh.
stickers, I'll make stickers.
I would.
I would definitely
get all of them.
take Mysterio, Doc Ock, fucking black suit Spider-Man,
Dude, he's
the
wearing
Willem
goulash.
Dafoe one, the Uncle Ben. Ugh.
I'll do it, man. I'll do it. Yeah. I plan on doing more of these. I definitely want to do more of these with a lot of people. That's all I want, man. Alright.
All right, man. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Of course, anytime. Peace out.